Quantities. Whoa. We are at the conclusion of a year's learning. 14 books. I forget now how many sections, how many halachas. It's written somewhere. I don't remember the numbers now. And let's get right into it. And we're gonna do the last two chapters. Chapter 11 and chapter 12. We're not going to do chapter 10, okay? So just look at the, right, which is, in the future, the Messianic king will arise and renew the Davidic dynasty, restoring it to its initial sovereignty. He will build, this is Mashiach, right? This is what he has to do. He has first, so he's coming from King David, right? Very few people can trace their lineage today to King David. The way you could do it is if you're a direct descendant from Rashi. Rashi is a direct descendant to Rabbi Yochanan Sandler in the Talmud. And in the Talmud, he gives us if you're a direct descendant to the Maharal from Prague, the Maharal, that's in the 1700s. Maharal, the lineage is traced all the way to Rashi. Right? We're talking father after father, by the way. Right? Father after father. Yes. Right? And Rashi is traced all the way to the Talmud, 500 years before that, in Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. And in the Talmud, these traces Rabbi Yochanan Sandler all the way back to King David, father after father after father. Right? So the Rebbe traces his lineage all the way back to the Maharal, and from there, yeah. Or actually, I don't even think you have to go to the Maharal. You can go from the Alter Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, or the Alter Rebbe. I can't remember now. Okay, whatever. Okay. For example, I don't come from King David, because I don't come from the tribe of Yehuda, I come from the tribe of Levi. I'm a Levite, right? Now, I can't trace it all the way back, though. That I can't do.
But it's in your name, so you know.
No, it's not in my name. My great-grandfather, it's on his tombstone that he was a Levite. Right. And it says on his tombstone. Okay. Anyways, interesting. Okay, what is he going to do? He's going to build the temple, gather the dispersed of Israel. Two things he has to do. Then in his days, the observance of the statutes will return to its previous state. What he's going to bring back is that Torah and mitzvahs are going to return back into its ultimate state, because we don't have all the mitzvahs now, right? Because we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. So we don't have offerings. We don't have the agricultural and all other things that are of a biblical nature now. He will offer sacrifices, observe the sabbatical and the Jubilee years, which we don't have now, according to all the particulars as described in Torah. Anyone who does not believe, listen to this, in him, in who Mashiach, right, and does not await his coming, denies not only the statements of the other prophets, but also those of the Torah and Moshe, our teacher. It's denying the whole Torah if you don't believe in Mashiach and his coming. The Torah testifies of his coming, as it states, God will bring back your captivity and have mercy upon you. He will again gather you from among all the nations, even if your diaspora is at the ends of the heavens. God will gather you up from there and bring you to the land. These explicit words of the Torah include all the statements made by all of the prophets. So he's just saying, hey, Torah's full of it about Mashiach, right? A reference to Mashiach is also made in the portion of Bilam. Oh, we spoke about Bilam, right? Right? He's actually gives a lot of that. Who prophesies about two anointed kings. The first anointed king is David, who saved Israel from her oppressors. The final anointed king, who will arise from his descendants and save Israel in the end of days, as the passage says, relates, I see it, but not now. This refers to David. I perceive it, but not in the near future. This refers to Mashiach, the Messianic king. A star will go forth from Jacob. This refers to David. A staff will arise in Israel. This refers to Messianic king, crushing all the Moab's princes. This refers to David, as relates as he says, smote Moab and measured them with a line, decimating Seth's descendants. This refers to the Mashiach, King Mashiach, about whom it says, the prophet says that he will rule from sea to sea. Edom will be demolished. Which is interesting what that means. Because Edom is Western civilization. Edom is, yeah. This refers to David. States that Edom becomes a servant to David. Seir will be destroyed. This refers to King Mashiach. As it says in the prophecies, saviors will ascend Mount Zion and judge the mountain of Esav. Halacha number 2. Similarly, with regard to the cities of refuge, it states in the Torah, when God will expand your borders, you must add 3 more cities. This command was never fulfilled. So the Torah tells of a commandment that was never done, about setting aside 3 more cities of refuge, right? So why was it there? Rambam is learning that the Torah is giving us a mitzvah that will only be fulfilled in the times of Mashiach. This command, right? Surely God did not give a command in vain. There's no need to cite proofs from the works of the prophets, for all their books are filled with the mention of this matter. So the prophets is full about Mashiach, right? Isaiah, Zechariah, all of the prophets, right? Full about Mashiach. But the 5 books of Moses is not full of, right? There's hints, but not openly stated, right? There is the one mitzvah, the 3 cities of refuge. It says in the future, because those cities of refuge will be added in the part of Israel that is on the east of the Jordan.
Okay.
Right? Interesting. Got it?
Yes.
One should not presume the Messianic king must provide miracles and wonders about the new phenomena in the world, resurrect the dead, or perform other such deeds. This is definitely not true. He's not a miracle maker. Mashiach doesn't mean, he does miracles, but that's not the proof that he's Mashiach. It's not a miracle. He's not. That's a miracle. He says by the Mizitcher Magid, the Alter Rebbe's teacher, right, who all the Hasidic dynasties stem from. They said that they would be around the table and learn from him, and they said there were miracles under the table, galore. But no one bothered to pick them up.
Sorry, they were miracles?
Galore under the table, but no one bothered to pick them up. Because a miracle is nothing.
Literally under the table?
Under the figure of speech, right?
Oh.
Others, what were they involved? What's on the table? The study. The book is on the table. You put your Gemara on the table. You put your Tanya on the table, right?
So they were so focused on learning.
No, it was irrelevant miracles. Miracles are irrelevant. Everybody looking for miracles by real people, miracles are irrelevant. Only people people need a crutch, need a miracle. Yeah, God forbid you're really sick. You need a crutch, right? You need a miracle. A friend of mine is really, really sick. Only a miracle is going to save him, right? Only a miracle is going to save him, right?
Gathering of the
But when you're healthy, and spiritually healthy, I'm using that as a metaphor. When you're spiritually healthy, as the students of the Mizitcher Magid, there were miracles happening, but they were under the table. They were not the topic of discussion. They were not, right? Same thing as Mashiach. He'll have miracles, but that's what he's about. That's what life's about. Miracles. Life's about godliness in nature, godliness in every moment, not the miracle. So don't presume that he must work miracles and wonders. That's not what he's about. Not that he can't do it, but that's not what he's about. He's about bringing the fulfillment of God in this world through Torah and mitzvahs, right? To bring that the world should be, in the world there should be a recognition of God, not miracles that are beyond. All a miracle does is make you recognize that there's a God beyond. It doesn't bring you to recognize a God from within. Right? Oh, your God's beyond. Oh, miracles, I know there's a God. But in this cup, where's God? In this me, where's God? Right?
Yes.
That's missing the whole point of what Mashiach's about then. Is that clear? Clear? Right. Proof of this can be from the fact of Rabbi Akiva. So now he's bringing a proof that it doesn't have to be a miracle maker. And not that he doesn't do miracles, but he's not proved through miracles. Right? He's not proved to be Mashiach through miracles. He's proved, well, we're going to see. We'll see. I think. Yeah, the next halacha is going to give us the qualities of Mashiach as a person. What he has to do, we said, he has to build the third temple and the ingathering of the people, of the Jewish people, right? That's what he does, but that's not who he is. Now we're talking about who he is, right? So proof can be brought from this, from the fact that Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest sages of the Mishnah, was one of the supporters of the king Bar Kochva, as he's also known. He would describe him as a messianic king. You look in the Torah, in Talmud, he calls him Mashiach. He and all the sages of his generation considered him to be the messianic king until he was killed because of his sins. Of sins. Actually, it says of sins. It doesn't say his sins. He led the revolt against the Romans, right? At first he was successful, but ultimately forces of the Roman military might turned the tide against the Jews. Gradually, they reconquered the Romans' Eretz Yisrael, isolated Bar Kochav's forces in the city of Beitar, and on Tisha B'Av, Beitar fell, and hundreds of thousands were slain.
It doesn't mention the sin, though.
Yeah, it doesn't say that it was his sins. It's because of sins. So I don't know what that means.
Could be the people.
Yeah, it could be the people, exactly. Once he was killed, they realized that he's not Mashiach. The sages did not ask him. Now that's the point over here, is that the sages did not ask him for any signs and wonders. Rabbi Akiva said, do a miracle for me so then I know that you're Mashiach. He didn't ask him for that. Why? Because Mashiach is not provable through miracles. Miracles can be done by others. Not that he can't do miracles. Doesn't mean he can't do miracles. If he's Mashiach, then he's got the power. But he's not provable through that. That doesn't prove you to be Mashiach. The main thrust of the matter is, so then what is the point of Mashiach? This Torah, its statutes and its laws are everlasting. We need not add to them or detract from them. That's what he's bringing to the world. Torah and mitzvahs done in this world, done in this world. What kind of world? Well, we're going to see in the next chapter a world where there's peace or famine and all those things, because all those things take away from you being able to truly serve God through Torah and mitzvahs, because you got to worry about your food. You got to worry about, being overtaken by, by whatever, threats and so on. So to make a world that is conducive to Torah and mitzvahs. Okay? Now, what is the quality of Mashiach? Halacha number 4. If a king will arise from the house of David, if a king will arise, right? Why if? Because he doesn't have to come through these means. He can come through another means. Who diligently contemplates the Torah and observes its mitzvahs as prescribed by the written law and the oral law, as David his ancestor. Right? You hear this? Huh? That's his ancestor. It's David, right? Remember, he's from the house of David. He's from the tribe of Yehuda, right? Coming, not just from tribe of Yehuda, he's coming from King David specifically. There's others from Yehuda, right? And he's like King David, dwelling in Torah, right? A holy person. Now, look what he does. Compels all of Israel to walk in the way of Torah and rectify the breaches in his observance and fight the wars of God. We may be, with assurance, consider him Mashiach. He's not yet definitely Mashiach, right? We can be assured that he's Mashiach, right? Because what is he doing? He's bringing Jews back to Judaism. He's rectifying whatever breaches in observance there might be. He's fighting the wars of God, What are the wars of God? The wars of God doesn't mean a physical war necessarily, right? It could be the spiritual wars of God. Hold on. It can mean defeating the nations around that are not allowing Jews to observe Torah mitzvahs. And it also means whatever obstacles there are in the world for the proper observance of Torah mitzvahs. Okay. Which I don't want to get into, I can explain a lot on this, but I don't want to do that now. If he succeeds in the above, and then builds the third holy temple in its place, which means in Jerusalem, right? Temple Mount, not just in Jerusalem, Temple Mount, right? And gathers the dispersed of Israel, he is definitely Mashiach. He will then improve the entire world, motivating all nations, not just the Jewish people. He's going to motivate all nations to serve God together. As it says in Zephaniah, I will transform the peoples to a pure language so that they will all call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. If he did not succeed to this degree or was killed, he surely is not the Redeemer promised by the Torah. Rather, he should be considered as all of the other proper and exemplary kings of the Davidic dynasty who died. In other words, he's a holy man. He's a holy man. He's definitely an exemplary person, right? But he's not Mashiach. He's not Mashiach. God caused him to arise only to test the many, as it states, and some of the wise men will stumble to try them, to refine them, and clarify them until the appointed time, because the set time is in the future. Right. In other words, it wasn't the time. Look at this now. Jesus of Nazareth, who aspired to be Mashiach and was executed by the court, this was also alluded to by Daniel's prophecies, and it says, the vulgar among your people shall exalt themselves in an attempt to fulfill the vision, but they shall stumble. That's who he is, right? He stumbled. Can there be a greater stumbling block than Christianity? All the prophets spoke of Mashiach as a redeemer of Israel and their savior who would gather their dispersed and strengthen the observance of mitzvahs. In contrast, Christianity caused the Jews to be slain by the sword, their remnants to be scattered and humbled, the Torah to be altered, and the majority of the world to err and serve a God other than the Lord. So what JC did, right, was the opposite of what the Torah says Mashiach is supposed to do. So that in itself is a proof that he's on Mashiach, right? Nevertheless, listen to this. Wow, this is very powerful stuff. By the way, this is all censored stuff for about 800 years. It was taken out of the Rambam, right? 800 years. Well, yeah. Were you here by last night's class? Did you hear last night's class?
Yes.
Oh, so.
Yeah, exactly.
What did we say in last night's class? Right? About the law of compelling Noachites, right?
Yes.
That you don't see it anywhere except in Rambam. It was yesterday's Rambam, by the way, right? Here it was compelling the Jewish people to go back to Judaism, right? So, so we explained over there, it's nowhere in responsa, nowhere in halacha about bringing 7 Noachide laws to non-Jews. Be killed in a moment, right? Rambam writes it like in future tense, not in the present tense. And even that, and now this, if this would be written and people would have this, oh, what would they do to Jews? What would they do to Rambam? They'd burn his books, right? I mean, they did that in any case, but they would do more often, right? So this was censored. It's only we only have this. They found it in old manuscripts. It was there, old manuscripts. But the more recent manuscripts, it was taken out. Nevertheless, listen to this. This is amazing. The intent of the Creator of the world is not within the power of man to comprehend. For his ways are not our ways, and our thoughts are our thoughts. Ultimately, all the deeds of Yashka, of Nazareth, and the Ishmaelite, speaking about Muhammad now, right, who arose after him, will only serve to prepare the way for Mashiach's coming and the improvement in the entire world. So we don't know God's ways, even though what happened to how many hundreds of thousands, not millions of Jews that were slaughtered in the name of JC. So we don't understand God's ways. But the Rambam is saying there's definitely, this is all part of the path towards Mashiach. Right? That I will transform the peoples to a pure language and they will all call upon the name of God and serve with one purpose. How will this come about? The entire world has already become filled with the mention of Mashiach, Torah, and mitzvahs. In other words, imagine it wasn't JC for a moment, right?
Yes.
Imagine it wasn't, right? Yoshke. So what would be? The world would still be pagan for the most part, right? Except for the influence that Jews would have. But because of him and Muhammad, the Ishmaelite as he calls him over here, right? What happened? Most of the world now are believers in God, and most of the world know the concept of Mashiach. An erroneous one, but from paganism, you wouldn't even have any notion of one God or a notion of Mashiach. So they brought that to the world, which is that is the positive thing that he's bringing out, right?
So would that be an example of klipa? Like,
It's for sure klipa.
klipa.
Of course, it's klipa.
Of course, but it's God's will with God's backhanded will.
Right.
He's accepting it.
But from it evolves something positive. That paganism is being replaced now with a concept, at least, of one God, right? So with pagans, I mean, I never sat with a pagan, so who believes in many gods, right? But imagine sitting with them. How would you have a conversation with them, right? Like, it'd be hard to have a conversation because you're not in the same idea. Someone who believes in one God and understands one God who's omnipotent, omniscient, and all that. Yeah. You can have now you can have a discussion with them. You can have a discussion with them about it, what's truth, what's not truth. Someone who's, it's just not in their world, right? Also, paganism, there's no such thing as Mashiach. There's no such thing as redemption. There's no such thing as a better world. It's just, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you shall die. Right? Right, so that's a positive thing that came to the world. Is that clear?
Exactly, yes.
It's positive or it's negative?
Huh?
It's positive or it's negative?
It's both.
Both?
But now he's bringing out the positive.
Yeah.
He's bringing out the positive. Just imagine if you were living a world with all paganism now, right?
Exactly.
So it would be harder to bring the message, because remember, we have to bring the message, we learned yesterday, we have to bring the message of the oneness of God and authority of God to all of humanity. That would be very hard to bring it to someone who believes in many gods,
Oh, yes.
right?
Okay, thank you.
It's harder to do that, that's all. So they paved the way towards Mashiach in that respect. Okay? These matters spread to the furthermost islands and the most stubborn-hearted nations. They discussed these matters in the midst of the Torah, saying, these mitzvahs were true, but were already negated in the present age and are not applicable for our times. Others say implied in the mitzvahs are hidden concepts that cannot be understood. Simply, the Mashiach has already come and revealed those hidden truths. Right? And others are saying that at least they talk about mitzvah. They talk about redemption. They talk about a future ultimate purpose, right? Erroneously, but they talk about it. Right. That itself is paving the way that then you could guide them with the truth. When the true Mashiach King will arise and prove successful, his position becoming exalted and uplifted, they will return to realize that their ancestors endowed them with false heritage, and their prophets and ancestors caused them to err. Wow, amazing.
Exactly.
You're getting it, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. Okay, we did chapter 11. We're going to do chapter 12 so we can conclude today. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, chapter 12. Did not presume that the Messianic age, we're all good folks. We're here.
Yes.
Okay, oops. any facet of the world's nature will change, or there will be innovations in the work of creation. Rather, the world will continue according to its pattern. Although Isaiah states the wolf will dwell with the lamb and the leopard will lie down with a young goat, these words are a metaphor and a parable. The interpretation of the prophecy is as follows: Israel will dwell securely together with the wicked Gentiles who are likened to a wolf and a leopard, as in the prophecy of Jeremiah. The wolf from the wilderness shall spoil them, and the leopard will stalk their cities. They will return to the true faith and no longer steal or destroy. In other words, the nations of the world will return to the true state, true faith, right? Rather than eat permitted food, rather than they will eat permitted food at peace with Israel, and the lion will eat straw like an ox. So, right, in other words, you're saying it's all metaphor,
Yeah.
right?
So what
Huh?
is that true faith that the nations will be returning to?
7 Noahide laws.
Oh, it's not it.
Yesterday's class.
But a Noahide doesn't have to eat permitted food.
No, it's a metaphor. A lion is not going to kill, right? That's what it
They
means.
said they'll eat permitted food with them.
No, it's a metaphor. It means that they will dwell peacefully with us. The lion, the nations of the world, will not devour other nations and devour the Jews. That's what it means. It's a metaphor.
What he's asking with the non-Jews.
Huh?
With the non-Jews eating kosher or the
No, that's not what it means. No, it's a metaphor.
I'm
Hello, earth
Yeah.
to... Where are you in heaven? Stop getting out of heaven.
No, Rabbi, I'm asking another question because I'm not dealing with this particular issue.
Okay.
When it comes to the eating of foods by the nation.
No, why do they have to eat kosher?
Huh?
Why do they have
No,
to eat
but that's
kosher?
what I'm asking, to get clarification. So,
No, they have to fulfill 7 Noahide laws. Only Jew has to keep kosher. No. There'll still be a distinction. There'll be distinction between nations. There'll still be other nations, right? But there won't be. Well, there won't be war. Let's see. Let's finish Rambam. We'll get it right. So many other messianic prophecies of this nature are metaphors. Messianic. Everyone will realize which matters are implied by these metaphors and which allusions they contain. Our sages taught that there's no difference between the current age and the Messianic era except the emancipation from the subjugation to the Gentile kingdoms. Right now, right, I'm subject to Quebec and Canada law, right? And even in Israel is not really a sovereign nation because they're listening to another nation to telling them what to do. That's not real sovereignty, right? Not true sovereignty.
Can we feel citizen of Israel even if we stay inside Quebec?
Huh?
Can we feel?
Well, that's a good question. Well, let's finish off and then we could. The good question. We'll get there. Okay. So the simple interpretation of prophets, words appear to imply that the war of Gog and Magog will take place at the beginning of the Messianic age. Before the war of Gog and Magog, a prophet will arise and inspire Israel to be upright and prepare their hearts. Behold, I am sending you Elijah. He will not come to declare the pure and the impure or declare the impure pure. He will not dispute the lineage of those presumed to be of a proper pedigree, nor will he validate the pedigree of those whose lineage is presumed blemish. Rather, he will establish peace within the world. As it continues, and he will turn the hearts of the fathers and the children. There are some sages who say Elijah's coming will precede that of Mashiach, Elijah the prophet, right? All these and similar matters cannot be definitely known by man until they occur, for these matters are undefined in the prophet's words. Even the wise men have not established tradition regarding these matters except their own interpretation of the verses. Therefore, there is controversy among them regarding these matters. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Is Elijah coming before the prophet? What is he going to do? How is he going to accomplish? All these things are very hazy, and Rambam is saying we do not know for certain how it's going to unfold until it unfolds. Okay, regardless of the debate concerning these questions, neither the order of the occurrences of these events or the precise detail of are among the fundamental principles of faith. That's not important. How it's going to unfold, God will tell his messenger. That's not important faith for me to know exactly, how it's going to happen. That's not part of my faith. A person should not occupy himself with God in the exegesis of verses concerning these and similar matters, nor should he consider them essential for study of them will neither bring fear or love of God. What I have to do is to do mitzvahs, right? Not to figure out, what just happened in Iran? Oh, that's the fulfillment of this verse in Zechariah. Do you know that? No. A lot of speculation, right? That's not where we should be. Now, that doesn't mean that, we should. The Rebbe did that sometimes. He took a verse and he just explained that this verse is now, meaning such and such. Okay? But our occupation of the Torah mitzvahs, right? That's what's going to bring the redemption to the world, right? That's to do it with the love, with fear and love of God, as the Rambam says, right? Similarly, one should not try to determine the appointed time of Mashiach's coming. Our sages declared, may the spirits of those who attempt to determine the time of Mashiach's coming expire. Rather, one should await and believe in the general conception of this matter as explained. Okay. Okay, you ready? Let's finish off. Got a few more halachas here. During the era of the Messianic king, once his kingdom has been established and all of Israel is gathered around him, the entire nation's line of descent will be established on the basis of his words and prophetic spirit, which will rest upon him. As it says, he shall sit as a refiner and a purifier. He will purify the lineage of the Levites first. So he's going to tell me if I'm a Levite. Maybe I'm not. Right? Maybe there was some mix-up down in my lineage and whether I'm a Levite, right? Stating he is a priest of defined lineage, he is a Levite of defined lineage, right? The Kohen, the Levite. He's going to say, he's going to know, right? He's not going to do research. He's just going to know, right? Those whose lineage will not be recognized will be lowered to status as Israelite. This is implied. The governor said to them, in the book of Ezra, they should not eat from the most holy things until the priest arises who will wear the Urim and Tumim. From this verse, we can infer that the prophetic spirit will be used to define and notify the pedigree of lineage. So there was an instance of the Kohen Gadol wears the breastplate with the Urim, right, with the Urim and Tumim. So a particular person don't eat from the tithes that come to the to the Kohen until you'll ask the Urim and Tumim if you are a proper pedigree, right? So from there we see from prophetic vision or prophetic inspiration that it will be notified to Mashiach about this person if he is a proper pedigree. Okay, is that clear? When he defines the lineage of Israelites, he will make known their tribal lineage alone, stating that he is from the tribe and he is from another tribe. He will not, by contrast, state concerning a person who is presumed to be an unblemished lineage. He is illegitimate or he's a slave lineage. For the law of once families become intermingled, the entire Jewish people, they remain intermingled. So not going to say, oh, you come from Mamzerim, right? You come from illegitimate. That he won't do. Once you've been intermingled amongst the Jewish people, he's not, that will not be, any blemish on a lineage will not be, he will not state. He won't reveal that. Interesting. The sages and the prophets, okay, did not yearn for the Messianic order in order to have dominion over the entire world, or to rule over Gentiles, to be exalted by the nations, or to eat, drink, and celebrate. That's not why we want it. Right? Every other ruler wants it so they can rule over people, be exalted, and to celebrate, to enjoy their lives. Rather, they desire to be free, to be involved themselves in Torah and wisdom without any pressures or disturbances, so that they would merit the world to come, as explained in Hilchos Tshuva. In that era, there will be neither famine or war, envy or competition. For good will flow in abundance, and all the delights will be freely available as dust. And by the way, we'll consider it as dust. food will be considered like dust. How much value do you give to dust? Zippo, that's how much you give to all the delicacies of the world. Because that's not what you're going to be into. Right? What will be? The occupation of the entire world will be solely to know God. In other words, you're walking the street, you will have an awareness of God's presence on the street. And if you won't, the cobblestone will speak out to you and say, you bullock, why are you walking on me? What makes you better than me? The gnat came before you, right? Why aren't you recognizing the presence and knowing God in this moment? Right? Therefore, the Jews will be great sages and know the hidden matters, grasping the knowledge of their Creator according to the full extent of human potential. As it says, the world will be filled with knowledge of knowledge of God as the waters cover the ocean bed. This completes Hilchas Malachim. We just finished, folks. In the entire text, blessed be He who spoke and the world came into being as a whole and of all of its particulars. Mazel Tov.
Amen.
This concludes the 14th book.
Mazel tov.
Judges. This
Mazel
contains 5
tov.
halachas and 81 chapters. So just to briefly,
Your address.
just to explain briefly,
Is that your
thoughts,
address?
couple thoughts over here. There's a whole debate against the Rambam and what some of the things that he wrote. And I'm not going to go into the finer details of it, but the Rambam is speaking about the first stage of Mashiach. The second stage of Mashiach, which is resurrection of the dead and all of that, he doesn't speak about that. You notice he didn't mention it, right? He didn't mention it at all, right? Even though it's the 13th principle of Rambam's, right, and belief. Because that's already a whole different era, right? This era, there's nothing different in the world except that we're not subjugated by the nations of the world and that we are therefore able to completely devote ourselves to knowing God in day-to-day existence. That doesn't mean that we're not going to, knowing God doesn't mean we're going to sit in with books. Because that's not knowing God. Knowing God means a conscious awareness of God in our lives and everything that we do. Right? So, as it says in Chassidus, what we learn in Chassidus is knowing God, right? When Mashiach will come, we're going to go, ooh. Because what we learned in abstract teachings and understanding, all of a sudden we're going to experience it. We're going to experience it in the world. And we're going to go, because, I learned that. I understood that in my mind's eye. Now I perceive it. And I see it with my physical eye, the presence of God. It doesn't mean presence of God is God's physical, right? We will experience God's realness in everything that we engage in.
That means he'll take away klipa.
No, klipa was gone. That's why Mashiach will take away the klipa. That's why, as long as there's klipa, you're going to have famine, you're going to have war, because you're going to have your Yetzer Hara that just wants for yourself.
Yes.
Well, you want for yourself, so food's for me first and foremost. And if food's for me first and foremost, then we're going to end up fighting about it at one point, right? Whether individually or collectively as people, right? There'll be wars over that, right? But that's not going to happen. Why? Because klipa will be removed from the world, and therefore what will be left is the awareness of what's inside the klipa, divinity, knowing God, right?
Right.
Now we know God in our mind's eye, how God creates this every moment. We know that. Now we know its divine purpose, but then we'll experience it. We don't experience it now. Follow what I'm saying? Hopefully
Yes, sir.
we experience it, right? We don't experience the divinity in this. I know it, but that's not experience. Knowing something is not experiencing it, right?
I have a question,
Go ahead.
and I don't know how this is going to sound to everybody,
Go ahead.
but I always thought that when it says the lambs will lay down with the lamb and all of this, I always thought that we'd be able to pet the lions and all the wild animals. and talk to him. I mean,
So again, there's debate about this. This is a Rambam, how he's explaining the first era of Mashiach, not the second era of Mashiach, which has resurrection of the dead, which is already something more miraculous, right? Something more miraculous. The first era is natural, right? Is natural, so to speak, even though it also sounds not so natural. Doesn't seem so natural to live with divinity and without klipa. But that will be the natural state of the world, which, when you think about it, really is. Klipa covers over the true nature of the world, which is godliness, right?
so we won't be able to pet them, right?
You'll be able to pet them for sure, because they're not gonna. Because then the present with today's Tanya, right? We spoke about Daniel and the lion's den.
Right.
We'll be like Daniel and the lions. We'll be like Daniel. The holiness of Daniel. We will be like that.
That will be so great.
That is going to be such a small thing, that you can pet the lion. That will be so small compared to the experience that you will have of divinity, because that's not. Petting the animal is not. You're describing it in human terms, not in the divine experience that you would have.
Oh,
It's much
okay.
greater than the human terms that you're putting it into. You
Right.
understand? Right? Much more.
Uh,
Much more than
understand.
even what you're stating. Even what you're stating is also something amazing, right? But it's going to be
Well,
something much more divine experience than that.
right. I would imagine so. It's just that I like animals.
Yeah,
I love animals.
no. I'm not putting down what you're saying. I'm
Yeah.
just, we all come from where we're coming from, right? And like you say, you love animals, so that's something that I get that. I'm just saying it's going to be even so much more than that. That's all.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah. So we all need Mashiach now. All right, folks.
That's right.
Amazing.
Mashiach
God bless
now.
you all.